Good morning. Thought I'd jump on a live stream here before I head back. I needed to take a little time off here, so I headed north, and I only had 24 hours up here. Now I'm going to turn around. I've got a meeting tonight, and then busy weekend with work. So just kind of a quick update on what's going on in the market. Rates look like they're coming down. That 10-year Treasury has moved, has come down quite a bit. And then that gap, if that gap continues to close, it looks like we might be able to see rates closer to 6, maybe even under 6 by later this year if the trend continues. My bet has always been that we're going to be close to 6 at the end of the year here. So it looks like that's the way it's going to go. A lot can happen. This is kind of a volatile market still. So a lot of changes taking place out there in the economy, with Doge and cutting the spending. It looks like the consumer pulled back quite a bit on the latest consumer spending. But my original theory was we had such cold weather throughout the nation. We were in the minus 15, minus 20 below in Minnesota, and then that cold snap went all the way down to Texas. So everyone was experiencing these cold temps, maybe not that cold, but enough where they may not go out and spend like normal, rather than going out to eat or going shopping or whatever, they may just stay in. So that does impact spending. But then there was another theory floated out there that I saw on X this morning that the Doge cutting the spending, all those programs that were out there spending, they're not injecting money into the system. So that reduced what looked like consumer spending. So it's kind of a false reading on what the consumer spending was. So we may be experiencing kind of a new paradigm as the whole economy shifts from that smoke and mirrors to legitimate spending and economy and legitimate employment, rather than based on huge government spending. So I think we're going to kind of rock and roll a little bit, meaning like waves and stuff, ups and downs as we learn to adjust to the new normal here. So it's going to be an interesting year, that's for sure. So I'm optimistic that things are going to work out great. And then what I'm experiencing in the market, I run into this quite a bit. I talked to an ex Logan Motoshami, and he's talking that the labor market hasn't broken in new construction. And then that kind of got me thinking. I just closed on a Lennar deal, and that's another story. I'll go into that later in the video here. But I'm looking at the housing. We have a shortage of inventory, and with rates coming down, I think that could spell for kind of disaster in some markets. I know some markets have surplus inventory coming on, or much higher inventory than they had previous to 2019, but that's kind of an anomaly. Those are kind of that southern states like Florida, Texas, and maybe Arizona that are experiencing that. The Midwest and Northeast are still in a shortage of housing inventory. So it depends what market you're in. But the issue that we're experiencing locally, and I think in a lot of markets across the country, is you have this huge population of the baby boomers. And then the silent generation is kind of the tail end of the silent generation. They're right around 80 right now as the tail end of the silent and beginning of the baby boom generation. And, I know a lot of people in that age bracket, and they would move, but they don't have housing to move to. Right? They would like maintenance free, less headaches with their houses. But for them to move, it's for new construction, the price difference is huge. And then they don't get what they really need. We're not building housing that they need. We're building 2-story homes, still kind of that McMansion kind of style, huge gable roofs and high maintenance houses for the most part. And it's not what that market needs. And that new construction market's too expensive for the first-time home buyer or the first move-up buyer. Well, some of the move-up buyers can afford it. So it's kind of hitting that Gen X age group is what the new construction is hitting. And it's not the boomers aren't moving out of that, or the silent generation isn't moving out of those 1960s, 70s, 80s Ramblers, split entries, those starter homes that was desperately needed for that next generation, the millennials and Gen Y. So that's kind of that market lockup. And then you add in the market lockup on interest rates, also further dampen supply. So my thought was, if the builders could start building product to allow those boomers, silent generation, to find alternative housing, and they're not like previous generations. I did that thumbnail on there, and it's you're showing the old what is it, 1930s, 40s, 50s retirement communities in Florida playing shuffleboard, right? That's kind of your stereotypical of aging. This generation isn't like that. They're 80 and they're in good health. So their bodies are physically strong. What I'm noticing in that age bracket is the dementia kicks in before the body gives out. So as they continue to age, we may have issues with finding appropriate housing for assisted living, for memory care, that kind of stuff. I don't know what's causing that. There's a lot of theories out there, but yeah, the ones I know, some are starting to struggle with that dementia. I think in years past, the older generation, the World War II generation, their bodies would give out. They had a harder life. They fought the war. They went through the Depression. Probably didn't have a very good diet during the Depression. But this generation ate healthy for the most part. My generation and younger generation, we grew up on crap food, so we're probably not as physically healthy as the boomers, but I digress. Anyhow, so we lack that housing, so that creates kind of that lock-in effect for housing, along with the rates that continue to create more lock-in housing effect. So if we could supply boomers with proper housing, I think we could free up the market. But if these rates do dip closer to 6, I think we're going to see a run up on house prices again as the bidding wars re-enter. There is still huge pent up demand out there. I've got a number of buyers that really want to buy, but we can't find anything for them to buy. There's just absolute slim pickings out there that's available for them to pick from. And we're still running into multiple offers, even though we're coming out of January. So earlier this winter, things were slow. So a couple of them, we put some low offers in, and where it needs to be priced is what we thought, is a fair price for the amount of work the house needed. And then suddenly here, once the weather broke, once we got out of the sub-zero temps and we hit 40-degree weather, we went from minus 15 to 40 degrees here. Those houses were in multiple offers. I don't know what they went for yet, right? They're pended. But yeah, I mean, they were grossly overpriced and suddenly they went into multiple offers. So I'm kind of afraid what these lower rates might do to pricing. It's kind of a conundrum. Bottom line is we need more supply out there. Back to the builders before I got to hit the road here. It's almost 10 o'clock, so I got to kind of hit the road by 10 to make it back in time for my appointment. But I closed on a Lennar house. It was not really a custom build. They don't do custom builds, right? But, my buyer, she picked out the lot and, built the house. And then it was a real basic lot. And they put on a lot premium of whatever, $8,000. And there was very poor communication. It's that book, The E-Myth, I think it is. So you create systems and you just put people into systems, and it ripped all the soul out of a transaction. We were a cog and just going through a machine. There was no personality. There's no interpersonal relationship. It was just, you were just in a system, and no one could make a decision. No one could answer any questions. It was just process. There was no soul to it. It was a horrific experience. It was like being on hold with Comcast, customer service. And unfortunately, that's what these large companies are going to. There's no personality. There's no one-on-one contact. You can't ask a question. We can't go on site to look at the house. We have to schedule an appointment. So we schedule the appointment. She wants to look around, take measurements. And then the agent was all frustrated because we took longer than 15 minutes. Well, I only booked 15 minutes. It's like, okay, we're here once during 4 months of construction. You can give us a little longer than 15 minutes. That's ridiculous. So we get to closing, and the closing is soulless again, right? There's a title closer, that's great, but they've cheapened it so much that they don't even print the documents for the buyer. She's spending the most money she's ever spent in her life, and they say, oh, go on, log on to our website. Here's your password, and download your documents and print them yourself. The documents will self-delete in 12 months. It's like, you guys can't spend $1.50 on copies. and give her a nice folder for another $1.50. You streamline the cost down that far. I mean, it's just absolutely appalling. And then they say, okay, congratulations, here's your key code, or here's your code number to your lock to your house. Go there, and you'll have to figure out how to reprogram your lock. And then the garage remote should be in the drawer, but sometimes they're hanging up on the garage door opener. Okay, fair enough. Another soulless, not personal. So I followed the buyer up to the house. We went in, and we had to go on YouTube, keep finding videos, instructions on how to reprogram this lock. And of course, it's the newer model, and all the YouTube videos are the older model. Trying to figure out how to put a new key code in there, because all the construction workers still have this key code. So farted around with that for a half hour, right? No help there. They didn't leave any instructions with it. It was just a nightmare. They're so bent on finding profits and squeaking every little dime out of this transaction, they forgot about the customer. Then back to that lot premium, $8,000 lot premium. So that's another kind of marketing gimmick, right? They say, okay, well, we don't pay on premium, so we just pay on the base package. So they set the lot price low, and then they set the house price low. Anything you add onto that house price or lot price, you don't get commission on. Okay, fair enough. And then they're going to cut that commission by 30%. So instead of like 3%, they're going to pay 2%. And okay, fair enough, whatever. And so that lot premium, it's not a premium lot. What they're doing is that's another way to cut that commission down. So it's another way to shave a few bucks off that transaction. It's to the point, Lennar, that I wonder how many nails you're using in there and how cheap of materials you are using. Is this house going to be standing in 10 years? I mean, you're cutting it so razor thin and taking all the soul out of a construction. I grew up in construction. I've been around it my whole life. It was a horrific experience. And I've sold Lennar before, and they were never this bad. This was just absolutely appalling. So that's my opinion. I don't think they're going to send me a survey because they know I'm not happy. So another situation is there was a gas meter on the side of the house, and it's this industrial sized gas meter for a 2-bedroom townhome. It's like, why do you have that one on there? I said, well, that's just the one that the gas company puts on. I'm like, okay, but all the other ones are these small gas meters that look nice. Why did this one get put on that way? Well, that's just what the gas company put on. Okay, so I call the gas company and ask them, why is this meter on there? I said, no, Lennar picked it out. They needed that for the construction during the winter to heat the multiple units. Okay, so I call Lennar again. Nope, we're not doing anything about it. Call the gas company again. Yeah, that's Lennar's thing. That's what they wanted on there. So bottom line is it's like $150 to trade this out to a smaller meter. And Lennar's just refusing to do anything about it. They left wires hanging out of the side of the building. Well, that's just the way the media company leaves it. So then it's a homeowner's responsibility to finish that up. And okay, I understand you can't do everything on a new house, but never again. I'm not gonna, if I can help it, not work with that company again. But and I don't know if all the national home builders are doing it this way, but yeah, it's like the nightmare of that E-Myth book on building systems and just putting people into a system and just, if A, B, and C happen, this is the perfect process. It's not that way. People are people. You just don't put them into a machine. It's all the soul is stripped out of it. So that's all I got. I do have to hit the road now. So that's it's an interesting market out there. I've been swamped. I've been busy. Back to the baby boomers, they are in need of housing. But more importantly, if they can't find housing, they're getting to the point where they need help with the maintenance on it. So if you're younger and you got any sort of skills, pick up a set of tools. And, I think you can make good money helping that demographic out. They have most of the wealth out there, and they need help maintaining their homes. I volunteer quite a bit on just people I know that need help with stuff. If something breaks, I usually swing by and try to help them out. It keeps me busier than I need to be. Don't charge them for it. That's just one of those things I get caught in doing. So, because I'm always got tools in my truck. So that's all I got for today. So signing off. I got to hit the road and then hit my appointment. I'll try to check in soon here, and then give you an update on the next project I'm working on. Talk to you soon.